Guys, welcome to my new segment on my channel called How to Fix. Basically how it works is that you pick a bad movie and basically telling that how would you fix the movie? How would you make this movie at least good, okay, or at least average or decent movie, at least something that's better than the bad movies out there. So I'm going to start with a comic book film, a movie that is marketed as probably one of the worst comic book movies ever freaking made, and that movie is Fant4stic, or Fantastic Four, but I'm gonna call it Fant4stic because that feels like the title of that movie. Basically, Fantastic Four has gone through a big rampage of bad movies. Like, we get the 1994 shitty fest of Fantastic Four, which is probably, in my opinion, one of the worst adaptations of Fantastic Four I have seen. And then we get the shitty ass 2005 Fantastic Four, and it's so bad that it made a lot of money from box office. So of course it made a sequel which is totally worse than the first movie. So everyone was excited for the new adaptation of Fantastic Four, which is directed by Josh Trank, who directed Chronicle, and basically that movie turned out as worse as the other movies. Probably better than 1994, but worse than the 2005 and the 2007 movie, which makes everyone a bit of a letdown that I don't think they will make a good Fantastic Four movie because it feels like it's hard for them. So I'm going to tell how would I make the Fantastic Four movie, or how would I make Josh Trank's adaptation of this movie, or how, if I was Josh Trank, how would I fix this movie? Well, you're safe with me, so I hope you guys like the stuff that I put in it and stuff, how would I fix it. And before I start this video, I also have a Facebook account and a Snapchat account, so if you want to follow me on Facebook and Snapchat, the usernames are down below so you can find me. So guys, enjoy the first ever episode of How to Fix. I'm really excited to do this because there's a lot of stuff happening, so just sit down, relax, and enjoy my vision of the Fantastic Four. First of all, what should we keep? First, I reckon I should keep the cast. Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan, Kate Mara, and Jamie Bell. Of course, keep those Fantastic Four cast because they're still great in Fant4stic. Even though it was a bit of a letdown, I still think they're still pretty good in the movie. And also, like, keep the character development. Like, keep, like, you know, who the characters are. Like, Reed Richards, the smartest person in the Marvel Universe. Keep that. Johnny Storms, especially, is a racer, and he's mostly kind of like the bad boy. Like, keep the characters' development. So, guys, I come up with a brand new story, a brand new origin story that we never seen in a Fantastic Four movie before. So, this is kind of like marketed as an untold story. This is the untold story of Fantastic Four that I would write. It's probably the most original story that I've ever thought of. Like, seriously, do we need another, like, origin of someone going to space and get powers? Like, we don't need that. So I came up with a new origin story. Here it is. So instead of making this about the teleportation device, make this as a coming-of-age story. A high school movie. Basically, we get introduced to Reed Richards and Ben Grimm. Reed Richards is basically the loser at the school. He's a geek, he's smart in his class, he passes a lot of math tests and all that stuff. He's probably the most biggest geek of that school. And Jamie Bell's Ben is also a loser, but he's also a bit tough. Like, in the comic books, Ben Grimm actually saved Reed Richards' life because, like, the bullies are defending him. So he can defend for himself. And that's what makes him marketing as the thing. And basically, Reed Richards in the film kind of has a bit of a crush on Sue Storm, which she's kind of like the same person as Reed was. She's a geek, all the girls are teasing her, and Ben is like, he's not sure that him and her have anything in common. And Johnny Storm is, of course, Sue Storm's brother, and he is the bully of the school. He's basically the bad boy at the school. He's basically the most popular kid, and basically he bullies Reed and Ben most of the time, mostly Ben. But Reed is like, he bullies him, he's kind of like a smart Reed. Ben is like bullying him like he was in the other movies. And Ben is like wanting to punch him. But Reed doesn't want him to be that violent just for him. And basically, they have powers the entire time. This is how they get their powers. Not like in space they get powers. They get powers in the most different way as possible. During class, Reed Richards is basically doing a test. And this girl, like two children ahead of him, you know, like 2 seats ahead of him, asking him for a spare pencil. So he's like, okay, sure. So he's about to stand up, go give it to her, and right when he tries to reach her, he discovered he has long arms, and when you see her grab it, she was like nearly fainted. Like, everyone in the class was freaking out, even the teacher was. So Reed is like, can I go to the bathroom for a second? She's just like shocked, like, yeah, go to the bathroom. And he went to the bathroom and he sees Ben Grimm basically vomiting in a toilet. And he's feeling very like he feels like he's going to turn into something. And Reed was really worried. He's like, Ben, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I just need to get home. It's kind of an emergency. I'm not feeling that well. So of course he went home. He went from the sick bay very angrily. Like, the sick bay people are like, okay, how do you feel right now? And he's like, and he sounds like he's going to turn into, I don't know, like, you know that Michael Jackson's Thriller, when he turns into a woman, he's like, like, kind of like that. It's basically kind of like that same exact moment. And then you see Sue Storm basically in her class studying, and you see her friends, like, basically throwing, like, water tissues on her head. And basically, Sue Storm was basically very upset about it, and she's starting to feel like the most saddest that she's ever been in her life, and she started to turn invisible. And a lot of people are saying, so she's been sad the whole time, how does she not know she's invisible? Well, basically, usually the powers of invincibility in my taste is bigger emotions. When she's like crying like normally, she's basically doesn't turn invisible, but when she cries like very hardly and very like deep inside of her, she turns invisible, and she discovers that, and she was freaking out. Even the bullies in her school was like freaking out. Everyone in the class is freaking out because Sue turned invisible, and she was like, where did she go? Where did she go? And basically, after that class, you see at recess, Johnny Storm was basically, his friend gave him a dirt bike, and basically he's racing against his friend. And then he figures out that the bike is actually on fire, and he was trying to get out of the bike, but he sees himself on fire, and he's trying to stop himself getting on fire. All his friends were trying to get the hose, the emergency hose, and try to spray him, but he's not on fire. And then he's just like, oh, I'm on fire, I'm on fire, I'm on fire. And he's just trying to get it out, and he tries to jump on the grass. But when he tries to jump, he flew inside of the school and set the whole school on fire. And of course, Reed and the other people, high school people, went out of the class outside. And then you see Jonathan's still on fire, and then he's out of the fire, and Reed saw him, and Reed's like, I'm not the only one with those abilities. And then you see Sue Storm basically saw him on fire, and she's like, something is happening to us, like us too. And then Reed's like, something's happening to me too. And then Reed's like, oh no, Ben, what's going to happen to Ben? So all three went to Ben's house, and then they see the shadow of the thing, like just the whole of the thing body just ran out of the house. And basically you see Ben's parents, like, they're not dead, but they're like really fainted because they see Ben like turning into some kind of creature. And basically Reed, Sue, and Johnny are going to this, like, you know those boat box things, you know what I mean? That's where Ben actually went, because he sees his footsteps on the road and all that stuff. And basically when Reed saw Ben as the thing, he was like so shocked. And Ben's like, Reed, it's me. And then you see Ben get captured by these creatures that we don't know who those creatures are, and puts them in the car. And Reed was trying to reach for Ben, and the creatures are like slapping their hand with his long arms, and then he just was on the ground, and Sue and Johnny helped him up. And then Reed's like, we gotta save Ben, we gotta save him. And Sue and Johnny were like, ugh, but Reed, we don't know what to do. Like, how are we gonna save him? And basically Reed and Sue kind of have this first chemistry with one another, and Johnny Storm is like, I don't care about this Ben. He deserves it. The whole three went out and tried to follow the van's footsteps, and Sue has another power in her head that she can track every vehicle that she can find with her mind. So he tracks the van that where she's taken Ben, and basically they're in that facility, and you see when they went inside, they see Ben all tied up, and you get to see the villain of the film. Now, it's not going to be Dr. Doom. It's not. We can't have Dr. Doom as the villain of this movie. Let's go where it all began with the Fantastic Four. The villain of this movie is the Mole Man, which is going to be played by Tim Blake Nelson, who is an Easter egg of Fant4stic. That's what his character is supposed to be. So basically, he is terrorizing Ben to join his side so he can be normal again. But then when he's about to stab him, when he's like, never, I'm not going to join your side, never. And then you see him just getting a big hammer, because kind of like his weakness is kind of like Hammer's. You know, Rock's weaknesses are Hammer because Hammer breaks rocks. That's what he did. So that's kind of like a smart villain move. So he carries the hammer, he's trying to hit him, and Reed was like, bang, with his long arm slapped the hammer off of his hand. And he's like, get away from my friend. And the moment's like, creatures, get him, they're supers. And then we get to see Johnny Storm was like, trying to set himself on fire and throw fireballs on those creatures. And Johnny's like, this is really awesome. I'm glad I had these powers. And basically, Reed untied Ben and saved his life. And they all ran away. And they found this blank-ass warehouse in the middle of nowhere. And basically, they are just there for the majority of the time. Basically, trying to test out the powers because they know they are basically born with those powers. They don't know how they got these powers. And then someone came into the door. And that is Franklin Storm, Sue and Johnny's father. And they're just like, what's happening to us? What's happening? What's going on with us? And Reed and Ben, basically, the past between Reed is that their parents are very abusive, and they didn't know that they used to work with Franklin Storm, the Reed and Ben's parents, but of course they were very strict on him, so basically he gets to live with Ben's parents. Franklin Storm had came with Ben's parents with them, telling them that they were born with these powers because we used to have powers of our own, but we cured them. And really, Reed Rich is like, how can we cure our powers? And basically, they haven't made that machine in a very long time. They destroyed it because they don't know that the kids, they do have powers, but now they are born with those powers. Now they had to make that machine again, but for now they had to test their powers and how to control them because their powers are getting out of control with themselves. So basically, Reed, Sue, The Thing, Ben Grimm, or Johnny Storm, basically trying to test out their powers and see what they can do with those powers. And then when they're almost done with the machine, basically Reed is having a bit of a talk with Sue Storm. Kind of having like a little romantic chemistry between them two, talking about anything in common. And when they're about to kiss, Johnny was just like, oh my god, you two. Sue, get a room, will ya? Just kind of like a funny humor, like a normal Johnny Storm like antics. And then when Franklin Storm and Ben's parents just finished the machine, they went in there and they got their powers cured. Nothing's gonna happen to them anymore. They're back to normal kids again. And then they found out that the Mole Man is back in return. They destroyed the roof of the warehouse building and all the creatures were surrounding against their parents, Sue and Johnny's parents and Ben's parents, and basically they killed the parents and saying, you guys are pathetic. And of course Reed is like, oh no, and Sue and Johnny of course and Ben were crying to their deaths, all of it. And the Mole Man is about to go out and destroy the city, make this portal thing like in Fant4stic to suck all of the city out and suck all the citizens until they all die around the world. And basically Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben basically both went back into that machine because the machine's the only thing that lives. And they went back in the machine and they both have powers again. And then they just found something in the cupboard, and that is a gift from Franklin Storm after using those powers again if they couldn't fix the machine. That is the suit of the Fantastic Four. So they wore that and go out and stop the Mole Man. And they basically all came together and they fight those mole creatures that surround the city. And the Mole Man's like, get him! And then they all use their powers and abilities. And Ben is like punching them, Reed's like using his arms, Sue gone invisible and all that stuff. And Johnny went on fire and he found out that he can fly. He can actually fly. Randomly, he can fly. He knows how to control his flight. So basically, he flew down the bottom and just did that, you know, the punch thing to the creatures that he chased. Like, yeah, this is awesome. And then when they defeat all the creatures, the Mole Man is like turning into a creature himself. Because he is a creature in my personal mind of this villain of this movie. He is now turned into a creature. And basically, he is too strong for the Fantastic Four. They're defeating them. They're defeating them hard to the death. And you see them just like tears because they're just kids. And that is pretty special with this type of movie. And basically, they decide to fight together. Because remember what Reed and Fant4stic said, he's not stronger than all of us, so we have to fight him together. So they both defeated the Mole Man, and then not by punches, by their powers. Like Johnny burns him, Sue like uses the force field so he can't escape. Reed is holding him by like he's like waste or something. And I know a lot of people thinking, why isn't Reed on fire then? Well, it's because the suit has like heat ability, so he can't catch himself on fire. And basically Ben, after that all happened, Ben just punches him in the air saying, it's clobbering time, and just punches him with an uppercut, and the Mole Man is now defeated. And basically everyone was proud of the Fantastic Four. All the government, all the citizens were like, we got new heroes in town, they are named the Fantastic Four. And basically at the end of the movie, the government's now working with them, and basically they gave them the surprise, not just saying we had to figure out names like this movie. The ending, I reckon they should make that Fantastic Four card that they made the Fantastic Four as a gift. The government make that card as a gift for them, and basically Johnny and Ben are basically fighting, see which one who drives, and Reed is like, no, I'm driving. The leader always drives. And Ben's like, who says you're the leader? And he said, well, someone who discovered the powers first gets to be a leader. And they're like, okay, you're a leader, you drive. And that's the end of Fantastic Four, ladies and gentlemen. What about an end credit scene? If I would make an end credit scene for this movie, totally we get to see one of the mole creatures that's still alive, and he's like acting like human, and went to this dark place, and we see a shadow figure in the background, and he comes out, and that is Dr. Doom. We get to see, not Victor Von Doom, we get to see Dr. Doom just came out saying, Plan B. And in the second movie, it's going to set up a sequel, and maybe I'll do a video like that, like how would this movie be a good sequel as well. If I would make like a sequel to a movie, how would I do that? So guys, thank you guys for watching my first ever episode of How to Fix the Movie. I hope you enjoyed the new origin story that I came up with. It's a pretty hard work thinking, what can I make with this type of movie. Sorry, my voice is like getting dead right now. My voice is going to die. This is a pretty long video. So guys, thank you guys for watching, and let me know down below of what bad movie should I fix next. Like, let me know in the comments below, please, because I really would love to respond to your comments, ladies and gentlemen. So guys, my next video is going to be Paddington 2, and also I'm going to talk about the OZD Awards nominations for 2018. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. So guys, thank you guys for watching, and have a nice day.